Hello everybody and welcome back to the Texas Podcast. I am your host Gabe and today we will be talking about the Battle of Laredo. The Battle of Laredo was fought during the American Civil War. Laredo, Texas was the main route to export cotton to Mexico on behalf of the Confederate States. On March 18, 1864, Major Alfred F. Holt led a Union force of about 200 men from Brownsville, Texas to destroy 5,000 bales of cotton stacked at the San Agustin Plaza. Colonel Santos Benavides commanded 42 Confederate soldiers and repelled 3 Union attacks at Zacate Creek. Colonel Santos Benavides secured passage of the 5,000 cotton bales into Mexico. Not much is known about the Battle of Laredo, so all we can go off of is the report of Colonel Santos Benavides, who wrote the report on the battle of the day of such battle. March 19, 1864, the attack on Laredo, Texas. This is the report of Colonel Santos Benavides, who was in command of the 33rd Texas Cavalry Regiment in the Confederate States Army. This is his headquarters line of the Rio Grande, Laredo, Texas, March 19, 1864 at 7 p.m. I have the honor to inform you that the town of Laredo has been attacked this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, by the enemy's forces, consisting of 200 men of cavalry, Mexicans and Americans, which I think is the advance guard of the enemy's forces en route to this place. I have received positive information from my spies down below on the river that the remainder of the enemy's forces are following, about 300 infantry and 2 pieces of artillery coming this way, and which will arrive here in about 2 days. I have resisted these forces here now during this afternoon with my men, which are about 60 men all told. We have done all we could, resisted the enemy until night broke in. The enemy have withdrawn to about half a mile from town, but still keep up their fire with us. We are well aware that their arms have superiority over ours, so we have barricaded the plaza and streets and are anxious to receive reinforcements. I am entirely in the dark, yet whether the encampment of our forces was attached do not at the same time, but I hope not. As soon as my men, who are encamped on the La Plata, about 25 miles north of Laredo, arrive here this night, I will try to attack the enemy tomorrow morning. I have also sent a swift express to Captain Giddings, commanding at Eagle Pass, to send me or reinforce me with all of his men he can possibly spare, as on possible. Should I fail to obtain the necessary reinforcements before the enemy advanced is so strong a force, I will be compelled to evacuate this town and retreat toward Eagle Pass, as it is an impossibility for him to remain here much longer without any reinforcements and on account of the scarcity of ammunition on hand. I would suggest to you that if you could succeed to get into the rear of the enemy, touching the river about the Clarino Ranch or farther up. I think if I join with Captain Giddings' command, which numbers about 150 men, I shall be able to hold Eagle Pass until you succeed to get into the enemy's rear. I must state that the reason of being notified sooner of the movements of the enemy is that the Yankees have not traveled any road whatsoever, but being guided by some good guides, and were never encountered by my scouts. Very respectfully, your obedient servant, Santos Benavides, Colonel Commanding Line. Now, this report I read to you is from Colonel John S. Ford, Commanding Expeditionary Forces, Camp San Fernando, headquarters line of the Rio Grande. This is from Laredo, Texas, March 21st, 1864. This is about a day or two after the initial Battle of Laredo, which had ended by then, so we could count this as an aftermath report. In his report, he says, I have the honor to report that the town of Laredo was attacked by the enemy on the 19th, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The news of the advance of the enemy on this town reached me only a short time before they were in view, and but little time was left to make preparations for our defense. I immediately collected my forces, only consisting of about 42 men of Captain Refugio and Cristobal Benavides' companies, and Captain Chapman's company numbering about 30 men and also a few American volunteers. All of the citizens of the town rallied gallantly for the defense and erected barricades in the plaza after I posted the citizens and Captain Chapman's company for the defense of the interior of the town. I proceeded with 42 men of my command to its outskirts, divided them in squads, and placed them compelled them to retreat to their main force stationed half a mile from town. The Yankees, dismounting, they advanced on foot, keeping up a rapid fire. My men also maintained a steady fire when the brave Major Swope and Mexican named Juan Ivora charged right upon an advancing squad of 40 Yankees and compelled them to retreat. Major Swope stood there until he emptied the last shot of his 6-shooter, which compelled him to retire for the purpose of reloading. While doing so, his horse was shot 3 times and also Juan Ivora's. The enemy advanced again, but were repulsed by the vigorous fire of my gallant men, who were full of fight. None of our men were killed or wounded. I am not positive that any of the enemy have been killed, but my men assert that a good many of the Yanks were wounded and that traces of blood have been found in various places. The firing was kept up until dark when the Yankees thought best to skedaddle in their own peculiar style and give up their intention of walking into Laredo that day. They retreated about dark 3 miles below town and encamped, and our men kept by me in the same position described, expecting every moment a new assault on the town. About 2 o'clock at night, my reinforcements arrived, which were stationed about 25 miles from North Laredo for the purpose of grazing our horses. On the arrival of my reinforcements, a general rejoicing took place among our little force, indicated that the ringing of the church bells and blowing of the trumpets, which I presume the Yanks must have heard, and rather guessed that I received reinforcements early next morning. Captain Refugio Benavides, with about 60 well-mounted men, was sent to flank the enemy and get into their rear. He found, on enemies reaching the camp, that they had all left in a stampede, throwing away some jackets and other things. He found also 5 horses branded US, which were left behind by the locomotive enemy in their hasty retreat. Captain R. Benavides started out again in pursuit of the enemy to follow them up and find all he can concerning them in their movements. To the best of my belief, they are retreating towards the Rio Grande City, where the other portion of the enemy is stationed, and their strength at Rio Grande City is supposed to be 300 infantry and 2 12-pound rifle cannons. I think that the enemy will advance next time in a much larger force. They are well aware that my force is through their spies, and will undoubtedly bring a sufficient body next time to attack this place. I have written to Captain Giddings, commanding at Eagle Pass, to reinforce me with all of these available men as soon as possible, and would also suggest you to send more reinforcements to send me if you can to be spared from your command. I will do my best to hold the town as long as possible against any number of foes, but to do so I would beg of you to send me some ammunition, which I am in great need of. My requisition was not all filled at San Antonio last time. Please send me some Mississippi Jaegers, shotguns, mini rifles, Belgian muskets, and Navy-size 6-shooter cartridges, if possible before 10 days. I have the honor to be, very respectfully, your obedient servant, Santos Benavides, Colonel Commanding Line of the Rio Grande, Colonel Jonas Ford, or Commanding Officer at San Antonio, Texas. Before I continue on with this video, I must say, Jesus Christ, these Confederates do not know how to write a proper report. There's spelling errors everywhere. Anyways, that is an aftermath report of the Battle of Laredo from about 1 or 2 days after the initial battle. And that's pretty much all that is known about the Battle of Laredo is from reports. Nothing else is very much known. So right there, I will end the video on that. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.